Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Happy Friday night. Okay. Diego, I'm going to start with you because you and Tony sat down at one point before season 2 and said, we're going to do 4 years in one season, and here's what it's going to look like. And you pulled it off so spectacularly. And I'm just curious how that conversation went and what you're most proud of in terms of what you've accomplished, what this team has accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you. It's very nice to be here. Yes, what a beautiful theater also. And yeah, we were shooting in Scotland. It was we were allowed to go on location. We were one of the first shows. This was COVID, and we were one of the first shows of shooting and working and yeah, doing what we love. And we moved to Scotland, which was perfect for COVID because it was like a bubble. We were like in the middle of the mountains, and it was just us. And Pitlochry was a tiny village where we were living. And we sat down, and this was like already a year and a half of work, and we were not even half the way of the first season. And we were looking at each other saying, like, we commit to 5 seasons. This is... I'm gonna be 60 years old playing Cassian. Like, it's just impossible. Like, so we were already shooting in blocks, in 4 blocks. It was the production strategy that Sana had. Like, she built a machine that was like 4 blocks, different directors. Therefore, it was like 4 films. So the answer was there. And Tony had this great idea of like going like, should we just jump into a year and be there for a few days with these characters, and then jump a year, and then jump a year. That way we can get to the end and deliver what we promised, which was the story just before Rogue One starts. You know, that was the end of our journey, and I thought it was fantastic, a great idea. It takes 2 years and a half of our lives to do one season. You know, there's a lot of work behind, and a lot of pre-production. You know, each block gets a good 3 or 4 months of pre-production. Directors pre-produce like they do movies. You know, and so that amount of work we want to do on the second season. We didn't want to like do it differently, you know. So yeah, it was. I don't know what the rest of the question was, but
Let's see. Let me go back. No, what are you most proud of in terms of what this team has accomplished was the second half?
You know what I'm most proud of? That on the second season, everyone came back. For us actors, it's like we're meant to come back. Like you're not supposed to say like, oh no, I didn't like this experience. You know, get someone else. But in this case, everyone, not just the designers, not just like the people working like next to us on set, literally everyone, drivers, constructors, everyone on the office. It was a job that we were all very proud of. And you could tell, you know, we were first given the gift of working while COVID was happening. You know, while many people were not doing what they love, we had that wonderful gift of like going to set and making this story happen. And then I'm very proud to belong to this community, to this beautiful troupe of actors, you know, that I've learned so much from, and that I feel very proud to belong, and that have become my family these last 6 years. Yeah.
Genevieve, hi.
Hi.
Hello over there. You know, I've made the joke a couple of times, but when we first meet Mon Mothma, like the first time we see her in Star Wars, she delivers the plans. Many Bothans died, and we're like, there's a joke like she's the only other woman in the galaxy. There she is. And in this show, she's one of the most incredible people, so important to the rebellion. Honestly, somebody I really want to party with after, you know, seeing her rip some shots. Obviously, she had a lot going on. But for you, what were some of your favorite layers to peel back with her, especially in season 2?
Thanks, and thanks for having us here. I think it really has to. I have to distill this to the writing. And you used a brilliant word there, which is layers, and he does layer within the writing, within each set of films. There are layers. And so you get to really build as an actor. But what the other thing that he does, or that they do as a collective, that writing group, is they allow space. You know, the amount of times you receive a script, and there is so much writing, there is so much information to distill. He creates spaces. They underwrite in a way that allows for performance to inhabit, that allows for an actor to step forward and add to and to create. So for Mon Mothma, yes, she's this extraordinary woman who Caroline Blakeston first played her in 1983, and many Bothans died to bring that news to everybody. But what Tony does is allow, as a writer and as a writing team, is allow space for you to learn about her pain, for you to feel her pain, for you to feel the bravery. And that's the gift that every actor wants. You want the space to step into. And what was revelatory for me in regard to season 2 in particular was the amount of space I was given, the trust I was given to step into and fulfill and create and live that woman.
I mean, I have to take the moment also to give you flowers for that incredible Senate speech. I mean, it's incredible in itself, but that's also a scene that you carry by yourself. So can you talk to me a little bit about what went into that scene in particular?
It was so important to me, and there's 2 really antithetical moments for Mon Mothma, and one is the dance, the drinking and the dancing, and getting to create this physicality for a woman that you've never seen before, and to see her just lose it. And then the other moment is that the speech, and that really is the fulcrum of that character. That is the center of her. That's where everything is driving towards. All the silence, all the holding, all the masks that she wears are in order for her to be able to rip open her sternum and give that speech. And filming that, we were talking tonight, on Andor, all the sets are practical. They're built. There are buttons for us to press. There are screens to walk through. If there's a light shining through somewhere, it's because there's a light in the scene. So you get to live and inhabit the scenes. But that scene there's nothing. It's just a big green box. And you're all alone, climbing up a staircase into a dais in the middle of nowhere with hundreds of crew in front of you. And it was really fucking special. They let me give the whole speech. That takes time. You know, in the architecture of Andor, there are moments. And when Dan Gilroy first wrote that speech, there were moments where they cut to, and then they cut to Diego coming down the hallway, and then they cut to the ISB room. And Tony kind of came to me, and it was actually him, and I should have said this earlier on, I just got nervous. But he said, "You want me to write the whole speech, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I want you to write the whole speech." And he said, "Okay." And he wrote it from beginning to end, like within 2 days. And I went to our director and I said, "Tony's written the whole speech." And he goes, "Okay, you've got to do the whole speech." And, I know you're a room full of actors. That's what you want. You want to be able to stand, and you want to be able to carve a speech. You want to know the moments where she's feeling vulnerable, where she feels brave, where she feels courageous, where she feels a fool, where she gets distracted, and when she finally finds the fucking grit to call out what it is. And he let me do that.
It's amazing. Another deeply emotional moment is, of course, Adria Bix choosing to I mean, she kind of breaks up with you, I guess, but but it's incredible because I'm sobbing watching her talk through a screen, and it's just such an incredible moment. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? And did you watch that while you were filming it? Like, were you watching her?
Yeah.
What was that on set?
Oh, okay. I was not watching her, but I was listening to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So because I'm supposed to be. Have you seen the whole thing, or did we just screw the ending for
That
you?
scene is.
Oh no, that scene. Yeah, of course. That you just saw, right? You saw 8 and 9. Okay. Oh, thank God.
I was wondering. I was like, he
"Holy
looked
shit,
at me
what are
funny
you-
when I said
What are you
that.
doing? But no, of course, you just saw it. Great. So when I'm reading, because I shot that after they shot her speech, Alonso, the director, it's Alonso, right? Was that Alonso? No. Janos, sorry, thank you.
I'm like,
Janos had it there playing so I had a speaker and I was listening to it, and he was and there was no one had chose like the good take, right? Like, because there wasn't edited, like she showed it like they. I don't know if I listened to the take that's on the screen. That's what I mean. Like, we were just listening to the full takes, you did. And I went through just the audio of that, and it was like, oh, devastating.
I mean, Adria, for you filming that, and then also, what were the conversations behind the scenes of like what is going through her mind up until this episode?
Tony does something really interesting, which he believes that information is power from the beginning of starting to film the season. So before I started filming, he had already sort of told me the arc of the character, and he told me that I was going to have this one speech and what it was going to entail. So I had time. Again, people don't do this. He's as elegant and classy as it comes. And that's how he sort of leads us, with information and power. And he gives you the audacity to own your own character and not have to ask for permission for things. And so I lingered on the idea, but obviously I hadn't read it. And when I read it, I mean, I kind of touched on it a little bit tonight too, which was, I love Rogue One, and I respect that movie so much, and it's the reason I'm a part of this show. And I love New Hope, and to be one of the characters that sort of sends off one of my favorite characters onto a journey that I have admired for so long was something that I did not take lightly at all. And in my own little confession, it was hard. It was really hard. It was probably one of the hardest scenes I've ever filmed in my whole career, because I allowed my personal emotions to get in the way of it. There was moments in the first 2 takes, it was so me. I got in my own way. And, we're actors. We have some good takes. We have bad takes. We fuck up. We do really good stuff sometimes. And acting is kind of like magic sometimes. And in those first 2 takes, I just could not control my emotions. I could not believe that I was sending him off. I was like, no, wait, can we rethink this for 1 second? Wait, hold on. I don't know if this is good. But, it was scary. And by the time that, I was able to really focus, and it took a lot of focusing to just really go back to Bix and the reason why she's doing that. And the scene before is with the fortune teller, and she sees something. She solidifies something that she's seen in him for so long. He is destined for greater things. He's destined for that great change. And it's not just her being madly in love with him that makes her believe this. She kind of points it out for him. I do believe that she thinks that she's caring, and it's something that Tony has said out loud, which is the reason I'm saying it out loud now. But it's a big sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. She wants to be part of the rebellion, but understands that if they stay together, he's going to stay with her, and they're going to have a family, and they're going to be normal, and it's going to be beautiful. But he's destined for so much more. And yeah, it's a big sacrifice. And then, since season 1 and season 2, Bix always says it. Cassian will be back. Cassian will find us. Cassian will be back. So in a way, you know, she sends him off, but she has a little bit of hope going, but he'll be back. And that's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, because they were like, I think Tony said at one point they even dated when they were kids. Like they're soulmates. Like they've been together their whole lives.
Yeah. And that dance sequence that we do is probably one of my favorite moments that we filmed, because it was one of those really beautiful things where Tony was like, oh, I want you to sort of create this dance that almost feels like a ritual that you and Cassian have been doing since you're little kids. And he hired a choreographer who sort of just stood by, but Diego really just took a hold of that scene. And because we've been working together for so long and there's so much trust, he just sort of started doing things with his hands, and I just sort of started following it. And that was the creation of that dance. And that's, again, Tony just being like, you know these characters better than I do. Go on, play, have fun. And we did that. And it was so cool to really just sit back and follow an actor that you trust dearly and just be like, okay, all I have to do is kind of go with the flow. And it was one of my favorite moments. You kind of let go.
They're home to each other, no? You know, and it's no, but it's true. Like you see and you don't see the backstory probably of Bix when she's so young, but you see that everything is taken away from Cassian, and when we find him in Ferrex, she's everything. Ferrex is everything, you know, and I think that's you need to tell that part of the story to understand why someone will sacrifice everything for a cause. There's something to fight for, right? And that's love, and there's something very romantic and naive behind revolutions too, you know, which is love. Love is important. It's what keeps you moving forward, you know.
Absolutely. Well, one person constantly trying to thwart that is the return of Orson Krennic.
Thank you.
Ben, I mean, returning to this character, we see him, he's so menacing in Rogue One. It seems like you had kind of the best time with him in Andor. He is high drama, and I love him. Can you tell me a little bit about what you learned about him in Andor and just how much fun you had?
I did have fun. I did have fun. It was also very kind of weird to go back. I just want to take 1 second to just say that when I saw this, I was just astounded by how much I was moved by what goes on here. And I think if there's any success in Krennic and whatnot, it is to be the thing that is going, no, fuck you all, you know, and I mean that in the best possible way, you know, because one thing that I think is really reinforced, and I'm picking up on it as we're talking about it, is the hero's journey is never just the one person. There's all of the people and all of the forces around the hero's journey that really contribute to that. And, you know, I was incredibly moved by what these characters do and what they go through. And I just think the emotional heart and the soul of this piece is with them. However, getting back to the dark side, you know, again, Tony painted some very specific points in 20th century history. And he said, okay, they had this conference and they were going to do this. So, you know, I know the background of that. One of the things I did say to Tony when you know, he said, will you come back and do some scenes? I said, yeah, but let's get rid of that middle manager vibe, right? Let's get that off to the side. Because I think Krennic in Rogue One is, you know, middle manager as great villain, which is not necessarily the greatest match. But in, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, all right, so you're the guy, okay, so yeah. So you're building the Death Star, okay? But I think Krennic in this season of Andor is very much the prime mover of of what's going to happen to Gorman, and the fact that he is so detached from what we end up seeing go down in that, which I think is like the most hardcore thing I've ever seen in Star Wars, is that whole, that's, that episode where all that stuff goes down in, what's the name of that planet? I forget.
Gorman?
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. When you destroy
They
places.
knew it.
Huh?
And they knew it.
Yeah, no, that's right. We forget. I mean, we move through planets like, it's like, oh, Gorman, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that rebellion. Yeah, you did very well there. But that's the first time I've ever watched Star Wars and been like, I don't want to be on this side anymore, No, I didn't like that. No, when they all started singing and stuff, no. But like,
It's the singing that got you.
oh yeah, no, that's it. If they only wouldn't have sung, if they only wouldn't have sung, it would have been fine. But they sung. But look, I grew up. I watched the first film in the cinemas as a kid. So to be a part of this world of all, I'm a kid from fucking Melbourne, for God's sake. I would have worried a lot less about a lot of things in life, I think, if I knew I was going to be in Star Wars one day. But anyway, that's an answer, isn't it?
I don't even remember what I asked.
No, that's good, because I don't either. But there you go. Tell him about the look you gave when he comes in the room, when you look at him like that.
Oh, from the K2?
Are you talking about when he looks at
the K2
when he looks at Cyril, or when he looks at
when he looks at him when he's coming in?
Oh, it's
Kyle.
Cyril, right?
Kyle.
Yeah.
Sorry, they look so familiar.
Which I was wondering if that was the same K2, because it means, I don't know, whatever.
He had a sassy look.
Yeah, it's like he has the sass is still it's
Yeah,
like
it's still
part of the
baked in
DNA.
there, yeah.
See that? That's how pass the football. That's how we do. Pass the football.
Well, Alan, I know you did sit in here, right?
I did. I sat right over there.
Okay,
We were all hanging out. It was good.
Did you like the show?
It was so good.
Good.
I really liked it. It was very, very, very good.
I mean,
This is a Gorman jacket, by the way.
oh,
So
Yeah.
know,
Spiders.
it was moving.
Gorman silk, huh?
Yeah.
I mean the return of K2, also incredible. Both of you coming back. Can you tell me a little bit of what it was like? I mean, kind of not the same way Ben answered it, but same question. What it was like coming back to so many years, but also going backwards to the nexus of K2.
It is an odd thing to go backwards, because when we made it at first, you just show up and you're making a thing, and it's yours, and it's whatever's coming out. You don't know what it's going to be, but then it comes out and it gets passed out to everybody else. Everybody sees it and they respond, and then it becomes something else. And so and then time went on, and I had my favorite things about K2SO, and it all kind of just becomes nebulous what the role was and what we did, and just anecdotes and things. I rewatched before doing Andor, and I had remembered wrong. Like, I had been saying, "Oh, I love it when I said lines that didn't happen." They didn't. There was because we did a lot of different K2SO lines in post, because he didn't have a mouth, and so we could switch it around. The first time when Jen comes into the U-wing and she sees me after I've thrown her on the ground, like the day before, I say something about I take it you're going to Jeddah with us, and I think it's a bad idea, but I thought I said no one likes you. Because there was a version where he said that. No one likes you. Everyone talks about you until you come in the room, and then they get quiet. And then when you leave, they start talking again. So it was fun to see again what we had made. But it was almost more important to watch Andor, because even though they are the same story, it's a different storytelling. It's a different type of storytelling. We were so loose on Andor, and this is like a finely crafted timepiece. It really is, and it's just so just focusing on what I know to be K2SO and just sort of the basics of it, and what I remembered, and a lot of that has to do with Cassie, my relationship with Cassie, and just seeing what was written and following along and experiencing it. And yeah, as we watch it, it's just kind of just going through it. It was great. It was great to come back. It was cool to see, I said before, when you on your trailer, they have your name. They don't have actually your name. They don't even put your character name on your trailer because sometimes they'll do character name because they don't want people to know who's in whose trailer if somebody comes wandering on set. On mine, when I showed up on set, it said "Old Pal." Isn't that cool? Aww. Yeah. I mean, if it's been old, just old would have been bad.
Yeah.
Pal would have been okay, but Old Pal was really sweet. Old Pal. So, yeah.
And then also you're physically on set. So those stilts, the sea legs, I mean, what was it like being back? And then also, I mean, one of my favorite things in Rogue One, and I've mentioned this a few times, is when you slap Diego and say, that's a fresh one if you mouth off again. And if you look, you can see, you kind of get Diego a little bit.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you having old pal back on set?
It's just like I didn't want to get to where I'm about to go, but I am gonna do it.
Do it.
It's
Friday night.
Exactly. There is something very, very special of having this story in the last block, with Alan, because and it's wonderful to see Alan and Ben here because that was 10 years ago, and I remember 10 years ago feeling like I was so far away from everything I belonged to, so out of my context. I grew up watching Star Wars and never pictured myself there. I grew up watching Star Wars and acting already in theater and cinema and stuff, and it was never part of like. It never looked like a possibility or anything, and I didn't want to even, And then 10 years ago, I was cast in Rogue One, and I was there with these two guys and with a team, doing something that felt so weird, so different. We were meant to be different, but it doesn't feel like comfortable to be different sometimes, And it was complicated. And then the film came out, and I thought that was it, And then probably the most amazing professional journey, happened to me, which is Andor, because in many ways Andor showed me that I could be specific, be myself, be the artist I want to be, represent the audience I am also while doing what I do, doing things with integrity, telling stories that matter to me. And I was there playing with this gigantic toy and still doing something very personal. And at the very, very end, everything turned. I wasn't like a foreign anymore, This felt like home. I was there. I could speak my language with Adria. I was with friends I know for a decade, and we were still playing with the same toy. But now I was part of it, and that journey is just like something that I never thought I was gonna go through as an actor, and I'm pretty sure it's not happening again, and I am very proud I went through it, and I'm very pleased with my life now, I guess.
Well, I think that is the perfect note to end it on. Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for this
Thank you
amazing
so much.
conversation. Congratulations. Thank you.